Hey, boss ladies. As we embark on the last 48 hours of 2024, it is vitally important that we take a few minutes to reflect on this past year. Reflection is so important for us. I am a firm believer that life is our classroom and that we are here to learn lessons. And if we don't take the time to stop and reflect and think about the things and maybe analyze the things that have happened to us, we will be missing out on those lessons. For those who are new here, I'm Dr. Sharita. I'm the founder of Boss Lady Dream Builders, where I help high achieving women develop lives that they absolutely love. So, some of the reasons that we need to reflect, the first one is that all of the knowledge that we have for the women we were created to be is inside of us. I believe that we actually have all of the answers. But if we don't take the time to check in with ourselves and to think about things, then that knowledge is going to be lost to us. The second reason is it helps us to make connection between an action and a behavior now versus things that have happened to us in the past. And maybe we will begin to see a pattern. It could be a healthy pattern, could be an unhealthy pattern, but it helps us to understand why we do the things that we do so that we can then course correct if need be. Introspection helps us to become stronger leaders. Leaders who do not take the time to think about their role in different circumstances are definitely less effective than those who do, who take the time to think about what they've done, how it impacted those who are being led by them, and what they can do in the future for better performance for themselves and also for their team. Introspection increases our mindfulness. It helps us to stay here in the moment. It helps us to appreciate our lives, appreciate where we are, celebrate where we've been, and look forward to where we're going. So, I have compiled a list of 10 questions that I want us to ask ourselves over the next 48 hours. I'm going to give you the first five today, and then I will give you the second five tomorrow. So, the first question you want to ask yourself as we do this reflection activity is, what are the highlights of 2024? What were your wins? What should we be celebrating? And, I heard an interesting statistic recently that we actually forget 90% of our day to day lives. 90%. That was pretty scary to me. And so one of the ways to help you recall that 90% that you've forgotten is to use your camera reel here on your cell phone. Your camera reel, because we take lots of pictures. A lot of us do take lots of pictures. So you can actually go back through your camera roll to see, start at January and go all the way up through today and see where you've been and what you've done this year. That will help to jog your memory as far as things that there are to celebrate. The other tool you can use is your calendar, because again, your calendar is keeping a chronicle of where you've been, and that will help to jog your memory. Now, if you are really, really savvy, and most of us are not, but many of us are, if you're really savvy, then you actually have a gratitude journal. So if you keep a gratitude journal, pull that journal out, start flipping through the pages, and list out all of the highlights, all of the things that you need to celebrate for 2024. It is important that we celebrate because it helps us to understand that we've actually accomplished something. It helps us to feel good and to feel proud and to know that we are capable of affecting change in our lives. And more important than that, it inspires us to do even greater things in the future. So pull out your journal and make that list of things you have um, to celebrate, things you want to celebrate, highlights your wins. The next thing you want to do, now this is closely related. However, this one is your greatest triumphs from this year. It could be up to three things that you are extremely proud of having accomplished. Now again, there's probably going to be some overlap between question one and question two, but I want you to pick out the three things, the top three things that you accomplished this year that gave you the greatest triumph, the greatest victory, that things that made you feel the most proud, the most successful, maybe even unstoppable. And then I want you to stop and ask yourself, what were the thoughts I was having? What were the habits I formed? And what were the actions that I took that led to this result? And it's important that you capture these because doing more of this will get you more success in 2025. The third question we're going to ask ourselves today is, what were our greatest challenges this year? Where did we struggle? Where are the places that we maybe missed the mark? Now, I'm being careful here not to use the word failure because I don't believe there are failures. There are successes and there are lessons. And so I want you to think about the greatest opportunities for lessons and growth that you experienced this past year. And similar to the last question, I want you to stop and ask yourself, what was I thinking? What habits did I form? And um, what were the actions that I took, or maybe the actions that I didn't take that led to this result? It's important again that we stop and ask ourselves these things because this you did not make the mark here. And if this is an area where you struggled, you don't want to keep struggling. You don't want to keep going around the same mountain. And so it's important that you find out and think about what you did so that you don't do more of the same. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And we are high achieving women. We are not about that insane life. So, again, I want you to take note of the thoughts you were having, the actions you took, the habits you formed that led to these disappointing results so that you can turn those around, course correct, and have a different outcome next year. Question number 4: what were the greatest lessons that you learned about yourself? Again, this is about introspection and reflection. So, you learned some things this year about the way that you operate, the way that you tick. What were the greatest lessons that you learned about yourself? Maybe you learned that you exercise best in the morning, that you can be more consistent with your routine if you start the day with exercise. Maybe you learned that you sleep better if you have a warm bath before bed. Maybe you learned that you stick with your meal plan better, or your healthy eating plan better if you actually create a weekly meal plan. Whatever it is, I want you to document the things that you've learned about yourself. Because the better we understand ourselves, the better it is, or the easier it is for us to create structure and systems that help to support us so that we can be more successful in a more efficient and effective way. And then question number 5 for today is, when did you feel most aligned with your purpose? Now, I think this is a good one because I am a firm believer that so many of us are unhappy with our lives because we spend entirely too much time doing things that don't matter to us, things that are not important to us, things that are not aligned with our core value, our priorities, and our purpose. And so I want you to stop and think about when you felt most aligned with your purpose so that you can make note of that. And more important, so that you can incorporate more of those kinds of activities into next year and the years to come. So that's it. Those are the 5 things for today. You want to record your highlights, your wins, celebrate your wins. Again, use your camera roll, your calendar, or your gratitude journal. You want to document your 3 greatest triumphs from this past year, your 3 greatest challenges or opportunities for growth. Your number 4, your lessons, the greatest lessons that you learned about yourself. And number 5, the times that you felt most aligned with your purpose. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with 5 more questions to help us gain clarity on the lessons that there were to be learned from 2024 so that we are better prepared to rock 2025. See you tomorrow.